So this video is going to be a review for Elden Ring Nightreign. It's going to be from my perspective as somebody who can only dedicate so much time to playing video games with a 9 to 5 job and regular responsibilities running a house, etc. I find that a lot of the reviews online for video games are coming from people who can dedicate their entire existence to playing them. For whatever reason, maybe because of their success YouTubing or for some other reason. They don't need to work a traditional 9 to 5 job. Their job is typically making these videos about games. And so I don't find anymore that I can emulate the same perspective that they showcase when they're doing their review and playing. And so the recommendations that I get, I don't find as useful to me anymore. And so I wanted to provide something from the perspective of something that might be a lot more normal for most of us, which is you only have an hour every now and then to dedicate to a game in your spare time. And so from that perspective, I'd like to provide a review as to whether or not I think this game is worth your time. And I'd also like to, after you make your decision whether or not to buy it, provide some tips in the game that I found useful to me to make sure you maximize your enjoyment out of it in the moment that you are playing it. Because with a game like this, it's very easy to become disgruntled. It's quite difficult, and you may find that in the first hour you play, you immediately don't want to play it again. But there are ways around that if you know what you're doing going into it. So with that being said, I'll first discuss, should you even get this game? Picture yourself doing your regular daily activities. You go to work, you're there 9, 10 hours with your commute every day, and you've got some time left to play at the end of it. Maybe you work out, you meal prep, you do whatever. Is this the type of game that you can enjoy in bite-sized amounts? Well, I think that question is going to depend on your preferences, like every decision such as this would depend on, but it's going to be quite polarizing for this game specifically, because it's a mashup of two genres that don't necessarily have an overlapping player base 100% of the time. So for a game like this, you've got a roguelike and you've got a Souls-like. So if you're familiar with Dark Souls 1, 2, 3, Bloodborne, Elden Ring, Lies of P, all of the games that have come out that are similar to that, the identity of that game is very punishing, very difficult, very challenging, but rewarding if you do overcome that challenge. So just bear in mind, if you're looking for something easy, this game is by no means easy. And the other side is a roguelike, which just means every time you play it, there's some random elements, there's a lot of replayability, and a lot of your progress resets. Whether you succeed or fail, the run, which is the beginning to the end of the play experience, a lot of the things are going to reset when you play it again. So combining those two genres, if you think of games in the roguelike spectrum, like a Binding of Isaac or a Slay the Spire, a Balatro is a new popular one, Hades, the audience for those games isn't necessarily going to always enjoy a Souls-like game. So if you've never played Dark Souls, you've never played Elden Ring, this is going to be quite a different experience for you. Don't think of it, it's not going to be similar to Binding of Isaac or something like that. That being said, if you like Elden Ring, you like Dark Souls individually, and you like games of the roguelike genre individually, there is a chance that you're going to enjoy this game. I think a large part of your enjoyment, though, is going to come from how good you are at it, which is a common thing for anything you do. You probably have more fun the better you are. To emulate my experience, when I first got this game, I was excited about the concept of it. I like Elden Ring. I played the mod, which allowed you to play multiplayer, so I enjoyed co-op Elden Ring. And this was effectively in the trailers promising to be that. The gameplay loop wasn't fully fleshed out until people got their hands on the pre-access copies, and I found that my first few runs of the game were fairly disappointing. I feel like a large amount of people, especially people who don't have an innate skill for the Souls-like games, are also going to find that the first few times you play are very disappointing. The reason for that is the difficulty and the punishingness of dying and just the core gameplay loop. So essentially, what's going to make or break this for you is a few things. Look at the price point. It's not AAA price. It's not $80, but it's not, super indie price. It's not $10. It's in between. I have Canadian dollars, so it's $53. That's like medium expensive. So you would expect quite a comprehensive game for that price these days. If that doesn't put you off, and now you're looking for the merits of the game, it's a multiplayer game. It will be significantly more enjoyable with a friend that you know personally. Your ability to work together with your team is going to drastically affect your chance of succeeding. It's not the type of game you could carry your entire team. It would require a lot of skill. And if you're, the perspective of this video is assuming you have limited time to play, unless you were gifted by divine grace, in the time that you have to play, you're not going to get very good at this game. That's the reality of it. Not so good that you could possibly carry your whole team. The type of people who could do that, if you watch Yui, he has literal thousands of hours in Elden Ring, he's the type of person who can carry after 70 hours of playing this game. So imagine the debt that you're going to have to get up to par to do that. So the reality is, like me, you're going to be bad at this game. And so the question is, okay, well, how can you have fun if you're bad? And so the ability for you to do that is going to come a lot from knowledge. So this is the type of roguelike where the meta progression, meaning the progression that you can take outside of the game, which you get permanently for every run, is very limited. If you think of a game like Gunfire Reborn, if you've ever played that, or if you think of a few other roguelikes like Hades, there is a talent tree in those games that provides you a large amount of power. Tons more HP, triple your starting HP, a revive in the run. Extremely powerful things that you get to keep permanently that make it easier and easier the more you play. This game has a system, but the amount of power it provides to you is very limited. It's not going to carry you through the loop. So the majority of how you get better, and the majority of how I personally have found my enjoyment increases, the thing that I need to do to get that fun, is knowledge of the game, such that I'm not walking myself into positions where I easily die. Because effectively in this game, if you die, you're fucked. Like, that's just how it is. It's extremely punishing. I'll describe exactly what it happens when you die. So, if you haven't seen anything about this game, you go in, you immediately get into a finite circular arena. Inside the arena, there are points of interest. Just like every other Souls game, you have a currency, souls, runes, whatever, that you get by killing enemies that increase your power. You level up and you get more HP, more stamina, more every stat. Damage across the board, you get stronger. The difference, the downside is that as you accumulate these souls, if you die, the souls are dropped on the location of your death. That's how the regular Dark Souls games work. But in this game, there's an extra level of punishment, in that not only do the souls that you've accumulated up until that point drop on your character's location when they died, you also lose one level up until that point. So the scaling for souls required per level is not linear. If you are level 7 and you die, that is a fixed amount of souls that you never get back. And because of the time-limited nature of these runs, the intent for you is to, in a limited amount of time, procure as much power as you can to increase the odds that when the boss spawns, that you are strong enough to defeat it. So if you die, you lose one whole level. You have to run all the way back and waste that time. Additionally, the runes drop to where you died, meaning that whatever killed you is likely still there. The odds that it kills you again, considering you are actually weaker now, is extremely high, which means you can snowball one death into just the catastrophic failure of 40 minutes of experience. And in the beginning, the first few times you play, that is the most likely outcome. That was my outcome. You know nothing about the world, you don't know the challenges that any of the things present to you, and so you try to test if it's going to be accomplishable or not, and you fight a boss, realize it's hopeless, too late because it kills you instantly, and that's it. Your experience for that is kind of ruined, and you can't quit out because it's multiplayer, so there's a penalty system, which makes sense, but in reality, you're now forced to play essentially 30 more minutes of torture, figuring out what the hell is going on and how do you claw your way back. And in the beginning, you won't be able to do it. So you're really just throwing yourself against the wall to try and figure out, okay, next time, how do I do better? So if you have decided, this is a very strong negative sentiment against this game, but I can tell you, at the end of the tunnel, having played 23 hours, it does get better. And so how do you skip that beginning slog? Because when I really was tempted to put the game down and say, okay, this is not for me. And I love roguelikes, I love Elden Ring, and Dark Souls games like it. So I just thought, you know what, this one hasn't cooked long enough, the gameplay loop isn't satisfying. That was my initial impression, but I do enjoy it now and I want to play more. So how did I get there, and how do you skip that initial glut? Most of your ability to succeed in this game comes from the knowledge about the game. It would be in your best interest if you're going to play this. If you're happy failing and discovering, go for it, so long as you're willing to not be frustrated by not only you dying, but also bringing your entire team down with you every time that you try to kill a boss that you aren't prepared for. If you're happy with that, go for it. But for most of us, what I would recommend is, in the beginning, it seems overwhelming what is on the map, what the points of interest are, what they do, where should you go first. In a short amount of time, you realize it's very repetitive and there's only a handful of things you have to memorize. If you want to buy this game, do yourself a favor. You don't need to worry about which character you play. You only start with one character. It's a very formidable character. You really, because it's a time-gated event, you have to know exactly what you're doing quickly, because otherwise you'll wait too long trying to figure out what to do, and the circle, the finite barrier of the arena, will enclose upon you, kill you, restrict your playable space, it'll catalyze your defeat because it's going to push you into a boss or you're just going to die by standing in the fire. So you need to know quickly what you're going to do. How do you do that? Do some research. Listen to some of my advice here if you're interested in buying the game at this point. These are the things that are going to make your first few runs far more enjoyable because you're going to shield yourself from encountering a difficult encounter and letting yourself die. The best trick is to just, essentially when you start in at level 1, there are many difficult encounters that are on the map from the get-go, and the trick is just to avoid them. Don't even try to kill them. And there are some bosses that will be there that once you know what they are, even at your most strongest, they're just overtuned at this point, and the risk-reward is just not worth it to ever try to kill them. And you'll be much better off chaining easy encounter to easy encounter. Your odds of success will be way higher, and you won't face the penalties of dying, having to come back, losing that full level regardless of you getting your souls back, and all of that time penalty. So, for you, the new player, you're willing to play, but you want to skip the difficulty. I have the game loaded up here, so I'll show you quickly. Hopefully, I can get into the game and just show you what the map looks like. It's going to start out with a tutorial with the default character, this character here. Don't worry, this character is very good. There are quite a few characters that play radically differently, but Wilder is the default character. It's actually very good. It's the way it works, if you're familiar with Elden Ring, is the characters have different affinities that they scale with best. So there are different stats, strength, dexterity, etc. This character is biased towards both strength, dexterity, and HP. And a lot of the weapons that drop scale with strength and dexterity, so this is just a well-rounder. His abilities are also very useful, and you don't have to play in a very niche, unintuitive way. So play this character in the beginning. There's nothing wrong with that. I'll just turn up the volume because I turned it down here. So initially you go out, I'm just going to pick the first boss, I'll commence expedition, I'll wait for some people to join, and I'll give you some initial tips that are just going to make your life so much easier if you do decide to play this game, because I'm telling you right now, I think the majority of people who don't like this game are fed up with the lack of knowledge that they have about it, which is leading them to die and be defeated. But if you skip that part, know a few things, you're just going to be so much better off without even having ever played the game. If you just listen to my advice for the next few minutes, you're going to get in, you're going to have so much more fun. So there's always a cutscene. In the beginning, you're going to load in. You're going to be flying on a hawk. The first thing you have to do is open the map. There is a map. Be aware of that. Wait for it to load. Again, you're going to love this advice. It's going to save you so much time. Feel free to look at other people who described it in more depth, but just a few things are going to help you out. So you open your map, find it. You'll see, you can zoom in. This is a point of interest. This is a point of interest. This is a point of interest. They're always, if it looks like this, it's a church. A church gives you the same thing always. So we spawn right next to one. So obviously we're going to go there. There's no enemies here. And my flask in the top left, which I heal, this thing, it just gives you another charge of that, which is useful because you can replenish the charges pretty much in between every encounter. So first things first, at level 1, you really don't want to fight any bosses until you know what they do and know you can defeat them. But it's not even worth it, honestly. I would say as a blanket rule, every time at level 1, you're going to want to kill regular trash enemies, because they're the easiest, and immediately go to a site of grace and level up once. Every time you level up, all of your stats increase across the board, including your health, and your ability to survive increases massively. So, just a few enemies dying here will likely give us enough souls to level up. That being said, I've played the game enough to know that these encounters are not super difficult, the one that I'm in here. Pretty much the rule of thumb is, kill little enemies, don't kill big bosses, focus on your level ups, and just chain between these points of interest that look like castles. Because they have much weaker bosses in them, all of those points of interest. Bosses are the same every time, so have faith that just by playing a few times, you're going to get a lot better at it. Because this boss here, the Spanish Knight, I've fought this like 10 times already. So I'm not great at it, but it's like, I know what to be afraid of. This is one of 3 that I'll have to kill. But it'll make me a lot more able to keep going and chaining the run to success. Pretty much, if you were to, hypothetically, avoid every boss of any difficulty and just chain little enemies and medium bosses like this, you would actually have a great chance of succeeding. I recommend you watch Yui and watch his video about, he does a solo run with the Guardian character, and he doesn't do anything difficult at all, and you still get very powerful. The downside to exposing yourself to something difficult is that if you fail one encounter, the ramifications on that for the rest of your run are astronomical. And so it's really, if you don't think you can do it, do not try it. It's not worth the risk. Now, you will be thinking, okay, well, eventually you have to limit test whether you're capable of it. That's true. But you should probably do that later in the run, when you have just more HP to test what the moves do. I'm just trying to chain staggers together. I have limited HP. So there, I proc my cheat death. You can tell, I'm not very good at this game, which from you as a viewer should mean perfect, because that's probably more like your experience. Because I find that with games like this, your skills will definitely increase over time. Like I said, I played a total of 23 hours. I doubt I'll play too much more. I wouldn't worry too much about these menus. That's going to be something that you'll go into more in depth when you play, but effectively every time you kill an encounter, you get boost to your skills. And you get a random selection. Classic roguelike, if you've ever played that. I would not go to this. These are the roaming bosses that are not typically worth it early on in the game. There's 2 waves. So you can see right now I have 24,000 souls, so it's in my best interest to quickly level up, and my HP, my strength, everything will scale very rapidly across the board, and I'll be far more successful. So there's a Site of Grace, which these are bonfires, these are the things you level up. I just spam that button, and you can see how much my health increased, and likewise my power also increased to a similar magnitude. Looks like my allies are going to this church first, which means I should have not dropped them. Going to take me a while to spam my way back up to where they are. But essentially, yeah, I'd like to just reiterate on exactly what it is that it's going to make you successful. When you spawn in, churches are free, they're just extra flasks, very valuable. Little camps like this, little camps like that. Castles, these things. Go to these, just chain these together. Do not go here early, this will fuck you. Don't go here early. You'll figure this out later, okay? Ignore it. Bosses in the middle, this, don't risk it. Like, you'll learn whether it's killable or not. Like this one's very killable. But it's rare. You'll have a Tree Sentinel. You'll have a Cerulean Knight, or whatever they're called. Those will fuck you up. So you want to skip those, or your run's fucked, and you have 30 minutes of pain, essentially. I do apologize to my team, because I'm griefing them, essentially, like, by not going very rapidly. By not going rapidly and, like, you know, getting power quickly. By describing things and slowing myself down, I'm reducing our chances of succeeding, but because this is the first boss, I like my odds. Probably should have gotten that other weapon, the flail thing, is very good. If you played Elden Ring, you'll know what the move sets are of these weapons. That will aid you, but it won't aid you nearly as much as just knowing what to do, which is to effectively to go to the nodes, avoid the roaming bosses in between, don't fight things, don't go to this fucking castle in the beginning, watch a YouTube video, a more in-depth tutorial of where to go. Just do that before you play, because like I said, you'll die once and it'll piss you off, and your run's fucking over, and your whole team will just be chaining themselves into death and defeat, and it's terrible. But, that being said, if you're willing to commit maybe 4 hours of the initial torment, the game is then enjoyable after that, and because it's so similar, you get a lot better a lot more quickly, and then you can start exploring some of the good things about the game, which are the diversity of builds that you can have, different weapon types on the same character, different, I'm going to go to this mine, different characters play very differently, which is enjoyable. So there is a good system here. If you played the co-op mod for Elden Ring, you know that there's an itch that this game can scratch if you're good enough to not just die over and over and over again. And so you can get there, but you're going to have a decent amount of willpower to survive the initial hurdle of just being completely overwhelmed. So I think that's more or less a good enough description about if you think you're going to enjoy this game or whether you should play this game, considering you have little time. And then if you do, you roughly kind of know what to do in order not to hate your life when you're playing it. So take that advice and determine for yourself whether you think you're interested or not. Again, make sure if you're going to play it, you likely will want a friend who can play with you. You'll have a much better time coordinating, learning together. If you like this kind of video and you want to see more recommendations for other games that are from the same perspective of somebody who is both not good at games and also, well, relatively, right? And also who doesn't have as much time to play them, then like and follow and see if I make another video or not. Thanks. I just wanted to turn the video back on just in case you thought I truly did grief my team during that video. No, we did make it to the final boss. We may win, we may lose. Oh, we're about to find out. You may have been thinking, oh, this guy's so shit, why would I ever listen to him? The answer is, I'm only a medium amount of being terrible, which is just enough to still have fun. And there it is. Okay, so we won. Just in case you were wondering, it's the same people, same team. We did it.